This is
Make it plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson. Get woke.
Ladies and gentlemen, another very, very special guest in the studio with us. Happy to have with us those of us who watched the royal wedding. Wait a minute, was it last year?
It was last year, 2018,
Last year.
yeah.
Time just flies, you don't know. Were just blown away that the royals had a black wedding. Because that's what it was.
Well, yeah, some people think so.
The voice that you are hearing is the director of the Kingdom Choir. Karen Gibson is here with us. So
Hi.
good to see you.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Welcome to Make It Plain.
Thank you.
So you're here in the United States.
Yeah.
The choir's on tour.
We're on tour for 6 weeks.
Now, is this the first U.S. tour?
No, we actually had 2 legs to the tour. So
Okay.
we've done the first leg. That was a couple of weeks ago. And now we're back. So it's the first time, generally speaking, that we're on tour.
Okay,
But
okay.
We've already done our first leg.
How's it going?
Wonderfully. The first leg was beautiful. Really fantastic experience.
Now, is this your first time here in the United States?
No, I've been here several times. I've got family here.
Oh, you
and,
do?
know,
Okay.
yeah, and yeah.
Home is Guyana, is that right?
No, actually, home is England. I was born in England.
in England, but your
my,
family?
That's right.
Okay,
My
okay.
family are from Guyana.
Yeah, yeah. When did you find music as your calling?
Oh, that's a really good question. As my calling, I probably didn't realize it was a calling for many years after I started. I started music when I was about 9. My mum sent my sister and I to piano lessons to keep us out of trouble, she said. I thought it was because we were really talented, but no. So we started when we were 9 and 8. But I think it was a good while. I think I was probably in my 40s before I realized it was a vocation.
A vocation.
Which is quite a long time.
And then, well, starting out at 9, what kind of music did you learn? What kind of music?
We
did
were
you learn?
learning classical music, but we
Classical.
grew up in the church.
You grew up in the church.
Okay, so really our training was church music. It was
Okay.
oral because you're
Okay.
hearing, black majority churches, as they call them in England, full of music, full of harmony, full of rhythm. So that is an education. It's just a very subconscious one.
Now, you said they're called black majority churches. in
Yes,
England.
yes.
That's interesting.
So we're talking about Pentecostal churches.
Pentecostal.
Yeah.
So the music that you all sang was very similar to the music that African Americans sing here in the United States?
I
or-
would say so.
You
I would
so?
say, certainly back in the day when I was young and growing up in the church, we very much looked to Black America. They probably didn't know it, but we very much looked to them for inspiration. There were the hymns, and then there was the modern gospel music that we were listening to.
So you were learning and singing gospel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and teaching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any growing up in the church? Were there any gospel influences? Any favorite artists you had?
Most definitely. I would say that the reason why we're singing is because of the Winans Brothers.
Is that right?
Yeah, so when we were young, when I was a teen, the 4 brothers, that quartet, they released their first album, The Question Is. And the question, it was their debut album. The first record or track was called The Question Is. And my friends and I, so remember I said that I was classically trained, so I also played oboe. My sister played clarinet. My other friend played clarinet. My other friend played clarinet, and her sister played the bassoon. So we formed a gospel wind quintet.
Wow.
Which is quite a novelty
Yeah.
in the black church.
Yeah.
And so we were quite popular. But we heard this song, The Question Is, by the Winans Brothers, and we absolutely fell in love with it and started singing it just naturally. We fell into our harmonies naturally. Nobody had to teach us anything. That's how I started singing and teaching gospel.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
I would say the Winans Brothers, we've got to thank them. We have a debt of gratitude to them, but also to people, the greats like Edwin and Walter Hawkins and Richard Smallwood and Andre Crouch. These greats. So yes, they were definite influences in our lives.
Yeah. There's another young lady, I wonder if she had an influence on you by the name of, they call her Aretha Franklin.
Yes, but Very much so, but I think in a much more in a broader
In a broad, of
sense.
course, right.
Of course, we were, young Christian kids, and we were
Yeah.
not meant to be listening to
Really?
secular music.
Really?
No, not
You-
when I was younger.
Because, it's interesting, and of course we lost her a year ago,
Yes.
but a lot of the conversation was she was the first major gospel artist in the United States to cross
Yes,
over
yes,
and not
yes.
suffer the repercussions.
Yeah.
Because her father vouched for her.
Right.
As a minister,
Yes,
he said, and
yeah.
he was the biggest minister in the world. So it
Right.
was like, in the United States at least, and it was like, Aretha can do this, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you all were still
Yeah,
under
she-
that over there in
That
the
she's
UK.
she's secular, and we didn't know much about her background or.
Okay.
So she was a secular artist, but that's not to say that we didn't listen to her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But as to somebody who we were listening to regularly and intentionally and looking forward to hearing from, it would have been those gospel greats. Their next album we'd be buying straight away
Yeah.
and listening to avidly.
Yeah. That's amazing. So in terms of secular, though,
Yeah.
did you ever consider performing secular? Did it ever even cross your mind?
No,
Really?
it never did. I mean, I just loved gospel.
Yeah.
Apart from, classical music, that I was in a number of classical groups, but gospel was what did it for me. I never thought to cross over into.
Okay.
We didn't even want to. We had a good friend who was very involved in the music industry, and would say, "You guys should make an album," and we'd be like, "No, we're doing it for the Lord." So we were very sold out to the church.
Yeah. So you said your mom was trying to keep you all out of trouble.
Yeah.
And I guess that somewhat included the secular, right? She wanted you to be focused.
Yes.
Okay.
Very, very much back in the day, they're very traditional, and quite, I would say there was an element of fundamentalism in the church ethos. So it was all about church when I was a youngster.
Yeah. And what impact has that had on your life? I mean, it's hard to participate in that and be a part of the church and be a part of gospel music and not really, think about your own ministry and your own life. And so has that had a profound influence on you?
Yes, I would say so, in that everything we did was to do with the church, everything.
Okay.
It really did. It really did form the backdrop to how we lived life, where we went to school, what we did as a job, how we socialized. It really did impact everything. So I actually worked in IT for 11 miserable years, very unhappy years. I worked in IT, but after that, I became a school teacher, and I taught gospel music.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, in the school?
In the school.
So wait. Was this a public school?
It's yes.
So it was actually a class in gospel music.
No, it wasn't a class. It was
Okay.
it was a gospel choir.
A gospel. Okay,
A
so you
gospel
read good
choir.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
ran the choir there and ran it in a number of schools. Then I began to go into the community, and I was basically just doing what I knew to do from church. And then I began to go to Europe, where gospel is very big. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of Americans don't know that, but they love it in France and Italy, Spain, Poland, Germany, all over Czech Republic,
Wow.
Latvia.
Wow.
Absolutely love it.
What do you think about it? What do you think is so appealing to those about it?
I think it's because of the music. It's the music of the spirit,
Yeah.
and I think it bypasses all kinds of persuasions and all kinds of opinions. I've taught people who are Buddhists and Muslims, and I've even taught witches, who absolutely, who love gospel music.
Witches?
Yeah, witches. I remember the day they told me, and said, "Oh yes, we're witches." I really had to hold it down and really keep a very straight face. But yes, so I just think it goes past everything. And if you
Yeah.
listen to the themes are of love and hope and inspiration and joy and peace, and people want
Yeah.
that in their lives.
Yeah.
So when you're singing that over and over. I think it impacts you. It's coming out of your mouth, going into your ears and into your spirit. And so it encourages people.
Yeah, of course. Well, I believe you because, here in the United States, especially in Harlem, when you go to a black church in Harlem on Sunday, there's a long line of Europeans
Yes.
you know, trying to get in because they want to see and
Yeah.
experience it live for
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
And sometimes there's so many they have to put off a certain section, you know, just
Wow.
because there's too many. The churches aren't big enough for the European tourists and the regular parishioners.
Yes, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's in very, you know, big demand. They want to
Yes,
see it and actually
absolutely. Yeah.
feel the spirit.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what I think that's what people want. They won't always say that, and they don't always know it, but they want something. I mean,
Yeah.
we experienced it. We recently completed a UK tour, and all sorts of people would come, and they would, and what they'd write back as the things that the music did for them.
Yeah.
So quite incredible things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess when you think about it too, now you said the black majority church. What do they call the white church over there? Just they don't have a name for that. Just
No,
Church of England.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, the descendant or cousin, so to speak, of the Church of England here is the Episcopal, I think. Indian. Am I right about that?
I have no clue. I have to
think
say.
I'm right. But I think I'm right about that. But in those churches, and this is no offense, they even joke about it themselves.
Yeah.
They call themselves God's frozen chosen.
Oh, really? I've never heard that before.
and so there's, you know, because everything is very straight and
It's
even
quite staid, yeah.
right, and even the music is portrayed in the hymns in a very classical form.
Yeah.
Which, you know, doesn't leave room for improvisation and the things
Okay.
that gospel does. So I'm sure that makes sense. But it's interesting. I see a lot of similarity, obviously, between you know, gospel and jazz
Yeah.
because of the variation.
Yeah. Yes.
And I tell you, I was watching my pastor and I were on the phone one morning,
Yeah.
and I forget what the ceremony was, but it was something all over the television. Something was happening in Westminster Abbey. I don't remember what it was a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
The Queen was there.
Yes.
And we were on the phone, and the TV was playing behind us, watching us. He was at home, I was at home. And then the congregation, they had a congregational hymn. They started singing, "Guide me, O thou great Jehovah." And he said, "Mark, do you hear that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "They're singing a gospel song in Westminster Abbey." I said, "Well, actually, it's not." See, what's interesting is a lot of us don't know
The history.
the history. So a classical church hymn, we would then take
Yes.
and make it black.
Yes.
And hear it growing up and then
Yes.
think it was our song.
That's right. When it's nothing of the sort.
Nothing of the sort. But that's what jazz was. It was
Yeah.
improvisation on popular standard music, Broadway tunes of the day.
Yes, yeah. And so I would agree that gospel and jazz are very much cousins in that there's lots of improvisation. So, for example, you would hear, in England anyway, you would hear a chorus sung one way in one church. You go to another black majority church, and because it's an oral tradition, they might have changed some of the melody, they might have changed a little bit of the rhythm, they might have changed the swing a little bit. But, you know, so you've got this thing where you have this freedom, actually, to be creative and spontaneous with the music, because actually, as humans, we are not robots. We're of the spirit. And, you know, we have different moods and different circumstances, and we get to create according to what we're feeling in the moment. That's what I love about gospel music.
Yeah. So I have to ask you this. Someone else I admire a great deal, in fact, he and I are doing a panel together soon, is Wynton Marsalis.
Yeah.
Wynton, classically trained,
Yes.
but clearly, you know, a jazz artist.
Yes.
You are classically trained, clearly a gospel artist.
Yeah.
I'm curious if classical, ironically, helped to prepare you to then be a master of another form of music, gospel, that is so much about improvisation where classical isn't.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gave me tools, being able to read and to write music and to be able to teach from the dots. That's definitely, especially when you're moved from the space of the church to maybe TV or radio, where you're given something to learn, and you better be able to read that music.
Yeah, they read it.
Yeah. So it's definitely given me tools. So I feel like I've had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So I would say that I started in the church. That's where I started. That's where I grew up. And then classical came along and equipped me with some other tools to be able to do my craft. So definitely, I think that is it Wynton Marsalis?
Yes.
There's two of them, isn't there?
There's Wynton Marsalis. That's his name. That's
But there's a brother, isn't there?
oh, you know, Branford.
That's right. Or is
And
it Branford or
and
Brandon?
there are a couple of brothers. Delphio, Branford, and then the father, Ellis.
Yeah,
So it's a whole family.
right. Okay, I didn't know all of that, but I feel that they cross over brilliantly from the classical to the jazz, and you
Yeah.
don't get that often. And I do wonder if sometimes being trained in the classical kind of limits your ability to actually create freely. I've often wondered that about myself.
But for itself, it
Anyway,
worked.
but the Marsalis do it brilliantly,
Yeah.
I think. But yes, classical music definitely given me tools for which I'll
Yeah.
always be grateful.
But I guess, too, we have to acknowledge it's true that there's something about our genius as a people. I mean, that's where the music comes from in the first place. It's in our soul and spirit.
Yeah.
That's where it ultimately really comes from. Because you can't really, can you teach improvisation?
I think you can approximate it.
Okay.
I think you can. But I think when it comes to improvisation, it very much depends on the soil that you grew up in. That's what I think. So if you are going to a black majority church where you're hearing the music all the time, you learn it naturally. I mean, I don't know if there's studies on it. I think you can teach it. I think you can learn it. I think you can learn it, and I think you can practice it. That's what I think. Because if you, back in England, we have many, many great gospel singers.
Yes.
And I know for a fact that they practice their craft. They will listen a lot to the Americans. They listen to people who have mastered the craft beforehand, and they will mimic until they have their own language. So I think you can learn it. I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Obviously, too, I mean, in this country, we get a lot of our inspiration from our experiences as black people.
Yeah.
I presume it's the same in Britain. And first of all, it's always fascinating for us as African Americans, I don't know if you've heard this before, to see people who look like us with the accents you have. It's like, first of all, this is what I don't understand, because I'm affected by it too. There's something about the human ear
Yeah.
and the British accent
Yeah.
that is just, it just does something to you. And it's why you all get all the acting jobs.
Is that right?
That's right. I cannot get an acting job, I believe, because of Idris's accent. If I had that accent, I'd be bigger than Idris.
Well, is that right?
I would
Okay.
be the first. I'm trying to be the first black James Bond. Not, so I mean, but if
So-
I had that accent,
Okay, so I need to move over here then. Is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
oh yeah, or not. Just the accent alone makes you.
Really? We have heard this, and we are quite bemused that it's such a thing. It's not a thing to us, obviously, because we've grown up in Britain. We've grown up in Britain
Yeah.
amongst English
You
people.
take it,
and
right.
That's right, and everybody has the same accent. My mum doesn't have this accent because she grew up in Guyana.
Okay.
But it's nothing to us. But it's really great because when we come here, we get the most favour because people love our accents. We will more pleased. Yeah, we're happy about it.
No, it on the tour it will play well. Trust me.
Okay.
It will
Thank
it
you
will
for
play
that
well.
tip.
You know, it's just
I'll
something.
use
it's
it
something
then,
about
yeah?
it. Yeah. Don't deny it. Don't lose it. But in terms of the experiences that you all have.
Yeah.
In Britain. Now, did you grow up in London proper?
Yeah, yes. London proper. I was born in Wimbledon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Now, does that mean because I don't know the geography? So does that mean literally near where they play tennis?
Yes, it will be near there. Yeah.
So that's a neighborhood called Wimbledon.
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was just the name of a stadium.
No. There's a place called Wimbledon in South London. I live in Battersea in South London. Battersea is about 15, 20 minutes drive from Wimbledon.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Were there any experiences you had growing up as a black woman in Wimbledon that also helped shape your calling to this music ministry?
If I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't say directly.
Okay.
But what I would say is that the black church has certainly been a haven for those who particularly those who are arriving to England in the 1960s, like my mother did. So for example, a number of these migrants would have grown up in the church back home, Jamaica or Guyana or Barbados.
Right.
And so coming to England, they'd want to find...
something to connect with.
Yeah, they'd want to find a church. But this is what happened to my mum. She found a church and she was going there for a number of weeks. And then the minister stood at the door greeting people and shook my mum's hand and he said, "Thank you for coming, but don't come back." And that wasn't only her experience, that was the experience of many, many of the immigrants who were coming from the Caribbean. And so I believe, and I don't have any firm research, although books have been written about it, that many of our parents found a haven and solace in the black churches with people who looked like them and spoke like them. So everything we did in the church was against this backdrop of living in a country that was certainly in the 1960s very hostile. 1970s not great. It's a little bit different now, a little bit changed, but certainly we banded together.
Okay.
We clubbed together in the church. And while certainly in the 60s and 70s, 80s, we didn't really talk about race, it was our experience in the workplace and in the schools. But we wouldn't overtly talk about it, but definitely, the way that race played out in Britain really impacted how we did life in the church and how we saw ourselves in this country.
Yeah. So it's amazing how similar all of our experiences are as people of African ancestry, no matter what part of the world we're in.
Yeah.
So, as you can imagine, people migrated from the South, from slavery and sharecropping, to the North cities like Chicago and Detroit.
Yeah.
And found connection in the church there and
Yes.
brought the culture from the South
Right. Okay.
to the North.
Right. Yeah.
As I'm sure your mother and others in
yes.
establishing those black majority churches in Britain
Yeah.
brought their culture from the
Yeah.
Caribbean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I say, it's changing a lot now. So there's a lot more integration. You find a lot more of these big churches are much more mixed now. And
Yeah, because they get it. They love our music.
well, yes, and I believe that we have something to give each other. To,
Of course,
to be
of course.
to be honest. But yeah, so there is this mixing of culture and music and worship styles, which is happening in England now.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's how it is here, but that's
Oh, no,
definitely-
it is.
Yeah?
It is. I mean, it's white churches embrace gospel music more.
Yeah.
And honestly, gospel music opened the door to this music we kind of now call Christian rock, I guess it is.
Yeah.
But see, even that was bordering on the secular. White fathers of the church didn't want that. Can't have kids playing rock music
Right.
in the church.
Right.
But now Christian rock is accepted. And if gospel had not been, first accepted, because people want a higher spirit, they want more music. But it's interesting. I was years ago. I preached at a church in Chicago, and they say everybody in Chicago is from Mississippi, like everybody in the nation's capital is from North Carolina. These are all people who migrated.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the Mid-South in Nashville, but there are things I just wasn't exposed to from the Deep South. And I'm in this church, and they played the washboard, spoon and washboard. I'd never seen that
Wow.
in person.
Oh, amazing.
And then they actually had a banjo on the choir stand, and I had not seen that in person. I grew up in Nashville, but I never seen banjo because banjo was always on the country music side of town.
Yes, of course.
And it was just fascinating. And I'm trying to get focused to preach, but I got distracted because I had to get them to say, y'all, I have to gather myself because this just gave me a history lesson on black music, but it just showed how we bring our culture, carry it with us in many ways.
We do. And you can only do you. You can only be what
That's
you've
right.
been brought to
That's
be.
right.
So wherever you go, you carry you.
Yeah.
And it comes to bear on what you're doing in whatever sphere.
Your mom came in the 60s.
Yeah, 62.
Why so? What made her? What made her do that? What was going on back then? with
So
Guyanese?
basically, in England, what they were doing is they were inviting people from the colonies, if you like, or from the Commonwealth to come and get jobs. So my mum took the opportunity to come over to England, or to go over to England, because we're in the States now, to become a nurse, like thousands and thousands of others. So
Okay,
she was,
okay.
going to make a life. And her intention was to stay for 5 years, save some money, and then go back.
Go back home.
And with thousands of other families, that was the case. We were coming for 5 years, going to make some money, then we're going, because you put down roots.
Put down roots.
Yeah, you get children, then the children go to school, and then the children go to university, and then the children get married, then they have grandchildren. So you're not going anywhere at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Did you still have family back in Guyana?
Yeah, we do. Not many. Some of them are here, actually, quite a
In
few
the
of them
United
here.
States? Yeah, yeah.
Some of them in England. So those are the three,
So I have to ask you, because I noticed you said, first you said colony, and then you said Commonwealth.
Yes.
So what is that like? Because I'm very interested in that too as I watch it unfold. The Secretary of the Commonwealth is a
Yes.
black woman.
Yeah.
Is she from Guyana? I don't know, where is she from?
I don't know.
I don't think she.
know.
I'm not sure what she. But is that in America? We point to Du Bois a lot, W.B. Du Bois.
Okay, yes.
And he always talks about the double consciousness that we have as a people.
Yeah.
Do Afro-Caribbeans kind of go through that too? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
now there's a level of goodwill. There's a commonwealth and everything's nice, but at the same time, there's that history and it kind of lingers. Do you all still kind of deal with that?
I would say people of my generation,
Uh-huh.
definitely. So there was always, I'm British. I would never call myself English as such. British. I grew up in England, and that's my culture. That's where I understand. But then there's always this concept of home, which is actually never my home. It was my mum's home, but she talks about it as home. But so it becomes my home.
Of course.
Do you understand?
Yes, of course.
But the culture is really not. I'm not as embedded in the culture as she would. And I think also, like my niece and my nephews, the generation below me, I don't think they have that as much.
Yeah, because they're even further removed.
Yes, that's right.
Do
that's
you
right.
go? Do you go to visit?
To Guyana? Yes, the last time I went was a couple of years ago with my whole family for my mum's 80th. So her 5 children and 20 grandchildren and 17 great-grandchildren.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, most of us made the trip back home. So, yes, I think I've been about 8 or 9 times to Guyana. I love it, absolutely love it.
So, what about the choir, though? Will the choir go at some point?
To Guyana?
The Kingdom Choir?
I don't know. I don't know what is in the future. I don't know what will happen.
I bet Guyana would blow up if you showed up back home with that whole choir.
I think I can tell you that the Guyanese were very, very proud.
Of course.
Of the
I
royal
was
wedding.
proud. I'm not Guyanese.
Yeah.
I became honorary Guyanese. that day.
Okay, thank you. So that was lovely. I mean, for them it was like Guyana being taken before the Queen.
Yeah,
And I had no clue it would have that kind of impact, but it's a real honor.
Again, the time difference. So to watch the royal wedding, and here's a black princess getting married, and people, well, we're going to look at it. Okay, we'll look at it. And I admit I was a little slightly indifferent, but I was curious.
Yeah.
But all my friends got up. Everybody over here got up. And you turn on just to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
And you're still laying in bed because it's so early in the morning over here. So I'm lying in the
Right.
bed and it's on. And, people calling me, we're looking at it. And then you all did Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And I remember literally, and I'm sure this was a collective motion in all of Black America. If you were lying down,
Yeah.
you sat straight up.
Wow.
We could not believe it. Not only were you all performing
Yeah.
and before the royal family,
Yes.
but you picked a song that is not exactly a gospel song.
No.
But when you hear it, it is very appropriate for a wedding.
Yes, it is.
And a very spiritual song.
Yeah.
And one of the most popular songs ever written. First of all, how did the Kingdom Choir even get involved in the royal wedding in the first place?
Okay, so my choir's been running for about 25 years.
Yeah.
We stopped briefly in 2008 to 2013, but in that first kind of configuration of the choir, there was a young lady, and she happened to be a very good friend of a member of Prince Charles's staff. So it's Prince Charles who wanted a gospel choir. It's Prince Charles, not Meghan. It's Prince Charles who put out the call. He tasked this member of staff to find a gospel choir.
Is that right?
Yes, everybody thinks it's Meghan. They even call us Meghan's choir in the media, but it is Prince Charles.
Why do you think that is?
I actually don't know. But back in 2010, I told you I taught gospel in schools. One of my school choirs went to Buckingham Palace and met Prince Charles. We sung before Prince Charles. And after that performance, Prince Charles made a beeline for the choir and talked to the girls and asked them questions about their school, their home life, their homework. And that's when I realized that actually he loved young people and that he loved the music. So apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently the request came from him.
I say this in as respectful tone as I can. Some white folk love black music and gospel. It just touches them.
Well, yes. I teach in many, I have taught in many community choirs, mostly made up of English people who have not grown up in the tradition, really don't know much about syncopation or step touch or clapping on the 2 and the 4, but it does something for them.
Essentially, as human beings, we're all the same.
Yes.
You can deny it, as some people do. I'm just not going to be moved by this and closed. But if you are true to yourself, I remember I was at a church years ago when Bill Clinton was president, and Janet Reno came to visit, and the choir, the Attorney General.
Okay.
And they started singing gospel music.
Yeah.
And Janet Reno fainted.
Really?
Yeah, it had to be carried out. So at that time, the public press release was she was under the weather. But all of us in that church said she wasn't under the weather. She got the Holy Ghost. All right?
I know.
But the administration didn't want to say that, but she just did just like that. And said, no, that's the Holy Ghost.
She fell out.
Yeah, just fell right out. And I said, that's the Holy Ghost. That wasn't no, God rest her soul. But now, so Prince Charles, I've heard that rumor.
Yeah.
So you're confirming it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I told y'all, you get viral moments when you do this. You never know. Now, so I heard another rumor, I asked you why, but I heard another rumor as to why.
Yeah.
In that his mother is transitioning to turn the day-to-day oversight or running of the Commonwealth to him. That he respects and understands the diversity of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
You have a black woman as Secretary of the Commonwealth, the General Secretary. I did try to do my own math one day and looking at all the countries. I dare say the majority of the Commonwealth now is probably countries with majorities of people of color.
Yeah.
I think I'm right about that.
I think so.
Yeah, when you think about the Caribbean,
yes,
all the other countries all over the world, they're people of color. Not just African, but I'm in all parts of the world. And you can't lead something like that, a world group and world organization, and have absent cultures and diversity from other people of color. So I'm saying that I've heard that, but I'm kind of projecting it optimistically. It makes sense.
Yeah. I think that there is a growing awareness of diversity and the need to account for and cater for diverse communities in England. So it's got to go that way. You can't go any other way. And so it doesn't surprise me what you're saying about Prince Charles and the Commonwealth. So yes.
So so the friend had a friend who was on his staff.
That's right. The choir member had a friend.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So did the friend suggest to Prince Charles, hey?
Yeah.
Wow, Kingdom Choir.
Yes. But it wasn't Prince Charles who called us. It was the member of staff who
So Prince Charles didn't call it?
No.
You don't have personal...
Well, I've met him a couple of times.
You have a cell phone number? Y'all
no,
okay.
Nothing like that.
Y'all don't text? Okay.
No, it doesn't work. No. I don't ring him up and say, how you doing, Charlie? No, it doesn't really work like that. No.
Okay. So walk us through it. So you're then invited.
Yeah.
And then... Did the couple or Prince Charles pick the song, or did you make suggestions?
It was well, I did make suggestions, and they said in fact they asked for suggestions, so I did my research and presented them with these songs. Said these are our suggestions, and they said, "Thank you. Can you do these, please?" So
is that right?
Yeah, they chose.
So they didn't pick any of your suggestions.
No.
What did you suggest?
Joyful was one. I don't think I went down Oh Happy Day, the Oh Happy Day route. I've forgotten the others that I suggested, but it was about 5 of them.
Happy Day would have been, yeah, that probably been too much though. Because you never seen folk run in those kind. See, we run in church. You can't have a royal family and folk around them running.
You need to stop. You need to stop.
That would have stopped England, y'all. That would have been a whole constitution. You know how they have a constitutional crisis now with Pop. That would have been a whole other thing.
Yeah,
but
no.
so that's probably best.
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
think
best.
so.
You didn't do Happy Day.
So
because I would have run.
no,
I definitely would have run.
you would have run in the church.
In church.
At the royal wedding.
Right, and then you would have had to pretend like you didn't know me. It would have been a mess.
Yes, I think so. I agree. So I think that's why we did Stand By Me.
Okay.
And they
so
chose it.
They chose that.
And they chose the style in which it should be sung.
So what was your reaction when you got Stand By Me, when they said we'd like for you to do Stand By Me? What was your reaction to
I'm
that?
not going to say on radio, but I'll just say I didn't quite understand the remit that I was given. Because they said, can we have less beat? And I didn't understand what that meant. And then they would say, we'd like it stripped back and pared down, really pared down. And I still struggled with it because we're gospel people. So Mark de La Salle, member of the choir at the time, he was arranging the song. And so the first version was all gospel bells and whistles. And they said, thank you, no. So we sent another version. No, please, can we have it stripped back? So we did another version, toning it down every single time. 3rd version, no. 4th version, no. 5th version, no. 6th version, no. I think that's the time when we actually met the royal couple to talk about how the song should go. And we got in the room with them. We went to Kensington Palace. I took a few of the singers and a keyboard player, and we just, honestly, we just cobbled something together. I just said, let's try this. Do some oohs and ahs here. Let's have 3-part harmony here. Paul, you're going to start with the solo, and let's see what happens. And honestly, it sounded so bad to my ear, but the couple loved it.
Really?
Absolutely. I felt something. As soon as Paul opened his mouth, I felt something shift in the room, and they were like, this is it. So we'd recorded it, and it was so plain and so simple that we didn't believe them. We didn't believe that that's what you want us to sing at the royal wedding. So we did another version, 7, no. Version 8, no. Version 9, 10, 11. By the time we got to version 11, we'd run out of time. And so we sung version 12 at the wedding before they had gotten time to vet it. Yeah.
You are kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. 12th. So that was the 12th version that you all heard. But I have to say this. The royal couple were absolutely right in their decision, not only with the song, but in the way that it's sung. And I'll tell you why. Because if we did do Oh Happy Day, where you're running around and people are falling out, that would have been for us. That wouldn't have been for the world.
I guess so.
But singing it that way meant that everybody could access it.
Well, it was beautiful. I mean, hearing this story, you would never think that it was all of that, and even it was not even something that you were in love with in the form, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
It was. I mean, it was literally beautiful. The voices, the arrangement.
Thank you.
So when what we saw on television was version 12 that had not been vetted.
That's right. No, they didn't. We ran out of time.
So were you nervous? Like, what if this isn't liked?
Yes, I was. I was like, I hope they like this. I really hope. But we were there. There was nothing else to be done. We just had to sing it. Get on with it.
I mean, I know you were nervous, but like literally, if this was like the old days in old Britain, if you didn't get it right, the king and queen just say off with your head. Right?
I hope not.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they wouldn't do that today. But
no.
So, did they like it after you did the 12th version?
Well, we got a lovely thank you letter from them, actually, a couple of weeks after. And there's a point, actually, that's on camera where we're singing, and you see them looking at each other. And the look is a look of love. And it also, but to me, it also looks like this is what we're trying to say. This is what we wanted. Yeah.
No, it was done in a very loving way.
Yeah.
I was home by myself, but I was looking for somebody to look at like that. When you sang that song, it makes you want to find somebody. No, it was absolutely.
Yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then y'all, now this is almost, it's a happy song, maybe not quite a running song. If I'd been there, I would have run, probably still, and embarrassed you. This Little Light of Mine.
Yes, they chose that as well, and that's
You can't pare that back though. I mean, they didn't ask you to
no,
remember
no,
that.
no.
So they knew what that was.
Well, that version is by Etta James, and I believe Megan chose that.
Okay.
So she wanted that arrangement.
Yeah.
It's slightly different to the one that we know.
Yeah, it is a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, but
the spirit is still there.
That's right.
It carried over, and that was powerful seeing them walk out.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm on the board of Selma, and we organize a Jubilee every year, which is the annual commemoration of Bloody Sunday, when we won our right to vote,
Right,
the Voting Rights Act.
right.
And that's one of the songs of that movement. And we walk across that bridge where those John Lewis and others were beaten, singing This Little Light of Mine.
Right.
So again, for us in America, to hear that as a royal wedding, that is a movement song, not just a general or generic gospel song.
No.
That is a movement song from
Like
the civil rights movement.
like a protest song.
Absolutely.
So I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
You were
before.
singing a protest song.
Yeah. Wow.
So like everybody knows me. If no, I probably wouldn't run. I probably would have staged to sit in. And made some demands.
Okay, in the chapel.
Karen gonna say, write this down. Wherever I am, don't let that brother show up.
Yeah.
He cannot be anywhere I am because he might carry on. But no, that's a protest song.
Wow.
One of the most powerful protest songs in the movement.
And so I've just grown up singing it as a happy, clappy gospel song.
Yeah.
Literally, just the words and the meaning of the words.
Yeah.
That I want my light to shine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Amazing. Has this experience, and obviously I know the choir has grown in popularity and interest.
Yeah.
But in terms of you and even the choir members, has that experience, being at the royal wedding, being seen in that way, how else has it transformed you and or your ministry?
Oh, it's changed everything. For one, we're sitting in the United States of America about to go on a 6-week tour. I mean, this would, before May the 18th last year, I would never imagine going on tour. So, my life, I've had to leave my other teaching jobs because this thing has become a thing on its own, the choir now and everything that's surrounds it. So no day looks the same. People recognize the choir. People will come up to us and say, "Oh, the Kingdom Choir," or "Are you Karen Gibson?" And this is still shocking to me. But also
because you don't see yourself that way. People
No.
stop you. You're not always cognizant of people looking at you as a celebrity.
No,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
word celebrity is a little bit tricky for me. So being recognized on a global stage or national stage, if you like, as the woman who sang at the royal wedding, or as a gospel choir, as a singer, it's quite a change. It's a change up here. It really does make you think about the platform that you're on,
Yeah.
how you carry yourself,
Right.
how you drive your car,
Everything.
everything, because people are
How you can't get publicly mad at people when they cut across you in line at the store.
exactly. That's that one right there, particularly in the car. My niece is always saying, "Auntie Karen, you can't do that anymore."
Yeah, can't do it anymore. Yeah. Ask the Lord to keep you.
Yes.
Now, did I read that? So you said teaching now. So
Yeah.
where you were teaching, where have you stopped teaching from currently?
Okay, so I was teaching gospel music in the schools. I've run
Right,
gospel
right.
choirs, but also in community choirs.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I would travel mostly out of London to teach community choirs, and I'd travel a lot to Europe to teach at gospel weekenders.
Okay. Outstanding.
Yeah.
So did I read that it was later in your life when you decided to go? Did you go to a seminary or?
I went to Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry in California. Yeah, so I lived there for 9 months.
Is that right?
That was 2008. To 2009.
So when you what is supernatural ministry? What is it?
Okay, so basically it's just that the main prayer is the Lord's Prayer. On earth as it is in heaven. And, the ethos is, as Christians, we get to live life with God. We get to partner with God
I see.
in seeing his will done on earth as it is in heaven.
So are you a minister, ordained, so to speak, as well? or-
No. This is enough. But not in the official sense
I
or in
see.
the traditional sense. I would say what I do is 100% ministry.
Ministry, of course.
Straight up. But no, I don't have any kind of title. I don't think I need a title to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Amen.
need titles to see lives change and turn around. And I'm seeing that all the time, just through song, through the power of song. I mean, some of the testimonials from the tour are just incredible. And we know that God is at work.
And you have mixed audiences, don't
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Mostly not black folk coming,
Yeah.
particularly in England anyway. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in America. And we want everybody to come.
You mentioned you see change happening.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. We have I think there's some folk out here that resist change, obviously. There's nothing we have in common. How did Britain, United States get two leaders that look alike with same hairstyle? Lord have
We're
mercy.
really going there, are
Yeah.
we?
I'm not gonna make you go there. I'm just gonna put that out there. But I think I think we're here for a reason because of that.
Yeah, sure.
And you're here for a reason
Yeah.
because of that. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, you're here in this country representing the best of where you grew up, the best of Britain, representing healing and unity and the togetherness across races.
Yes.
Where other folk are fighting that.
Yeah.
Where you live, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And while nobody in government and the royal family has appointed you to do that.
No.
God has appointed you to do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, the tagline on our album is 15 songs of love, hope, and inspiration, and those things are things that everybody wants, regardless of race or color. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody needs hope. The Bible says that without hope, we are men and women most miserable. We need hope to survive, and everybody wants to be inspired. And this is what I'm seeing as we go around singing. People are really feeling that.
Yeah.
Really feeling love and connection and feeling family and feeling invited into the experience that they're witnessing on the stage.
So I want to share something with you because I was reminded of it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Like I said, I grew up in Nashville. My grandfather and my mother both, for years, worked at Fisk University, which was the first historically black college in the
Right,
United States.
yeah.
I grew up on that campus, literally.
Okay, where the Fist Jubilee singers came out of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
And so, did you know, people think Nashville got the name Music City because of country music. No. Nashville was named Music City by Queen Victoria when the Fist Jubilee singers came to sing before her.
She gave the name.
Yeah, she said, "This is the city of music."
Yeah.
And again, it was not yet gospel, but Negro spiritual.
Yes.
You all ever take those on? You ever try those? The Negro spirituals?
I've sung them
Okay.
before, but we don't,
You know, yeah.
not too many of them.
Yeah. Because sometimes I think that, especially you mentioned niece and nephew, this younger generation should get the full display of the generations
Yeah.
of our.
Definitely. They
of our
need to know
music.
what our legacy is. And
Yeah.
certainly when I go around teaching, I will teach a Negro spiritual.
Yeah.
Or two,
Yeah.
you know?
So I like to kind of tie things together. I grew up on the campus where one of the first gospel choirs was acknowledged by the Queen of England. And now here you are singing gospel
Yeah.
before the Queen's Queen Victoria's great-great-granddaughter.
Yeah. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, the world is smaller than we think it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is such an honor to see you and to talk to you. I'm inspired
Thank
by you.
you.
Again, you touched us all.
Oh, thank you.
And again, for that double consciousness, you help people to see themselves and their relationship with Britain in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's significant for the royal family to say, we want this
Yeah.
to happen.
Yes.
And I can't stress enough, when you hear this little light of mine in this country, you get your marching shoes on. So for you all to sing that at that wedding, it just touched the soul.
Wow.
It's in your inner.
Wow. That's so interesting. But I would also add to that often when people of color come up to me in the street, they will say things like, thank you for representing.
Yes,
Somebody said it felt like it was our wedding.
it sure was.
And I remember getting onto the bus one day, and a woman came and plonked herself down next to me and said, "Are you the one?" And she's whispering to me, and she said, "We made it." Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
We made it.
Yeah, it made us proud. The bishop preaching and everything.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
That was something else.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you said on the bus. You still ride the bus?
No, I'm driving now.
Okay, I was about to say. Big time. You can't be on the bus. Okay, last question, because all my Christian friends are going to want me to ask you this.
Uh-oh.
The name Kingdom Choir.
Yeah.
Whose kingdom? Which kingdom does that refer?
Kingdom of God.
Okay, because some people, it's kind of a double thing. People think
Yes.
that,
It's not the United Kingdom. I tell you how I got the name. I
Okay.
got the name in a dream. So before we became an entity, I was part of a London-wide choir. And we were asked to help out on a radio station, a program called The Gospel Train. And this program would go around and to the various black majority churches and record the service, and the service would be the program. Anyway, after a while, the choir got a name, got a reputation, and we got a call from a national British program, and they said, "Oh, we'd like your choir to come and sing on our TV program." And I said, "Yes, that'd be lovely." And the producer said, "What's your name?" We had no name because we were the host choir for the Gospel Train. So I said, "Oh, I don't have a name." She said, "Well, I'm going to call you back tomorrow, and you better have a name by then." I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no clue. But when I slept that night, I dreamt of the name, the Kingdom Choir, without knowing what the kingdom meant. I didn't even like the name. I wanted to change it, but I couldn't think of anything else by the time she did indeed call back the next day.
Wow.
So
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, that's God himself.
And so appropriate in the sense that, part of our struggle as an African people, whether we were colonized or enslaved, has been about our names, who we really are and what our names are.
Wow.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yes.
God bless you and your ministry.
Thank you.
I need to know where I can, be where you are so I can run and jump on shot.
I want to see that, actually. You can do that here. Maybe not at the St. George's Chapel, but you can do that in America. That's fine. I want to see that. Please do run.
Karen's scared now. She knows she feels it's my ministry, not embarrass her, since I'm joking about it so much. But no, really, God bless you.
Thank
it is
you.
truly an honor to you. You're royalty.
Thank you.
All of our people are, but you especially, because of what you've done. I mean, you literally lifted us up. That wasn't just a wedding.
No.
Some weddings, in and out, 5 minutes. Then the marriage don't even last no how. But hello. So that was really a very, very high spiritual moment.
Thank you.
And we are all proud. You made us all proud. All of us walked a little taller.
Thank you.
After that.
That's an honor. It's an honor. It really is.
God bless you and all that you do. Album?
Yeah, the album's called Stand By Me. It's available online, I believe. I think it's still in some stores as well, because we released it last year. And we're on tour all over. If you go to kingdomchoir.com, then you'll see where we are. We're in several states.
And I'll be crashing some of those, y'all. So you can look
running
forward to
as
that.
well. Yeah, no doubt.
The director of the Kingdom Choir, the amazing, the wonderful, God's chosen Karen Gibson. God bless her and her ministry. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, Mark. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for listening to Make It Plain and Get Woke. Remember to listen, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Also, subscribe to Make It Plain and Get Woke daily. Check out makeitplain.com to subscribe. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.